You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome, racing fans, to New York's wine country and Watkins Glen International for race number 2 in the round of 16 race for the Stacy Strong Cup Series. This legendary track with its challenging turns and dramatic elevation changes is the perfect stage for the start of our postseason elimination campaign. 16 drivers remain, each vying for a spot in the round of 12 in 2 weeks. And now, every lap, every pass, every mistake could mean the difference between advancing or being eliminated. The pressure is on, the competition is fierce, and the drama is about to unfold. Let's hear those engines roar as we dive even deeper into the 2024 Stacy Strong Cup Series playoffs. I'm Dave Regal alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and we're ready to bring you all the action. From the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And Matt, listen, I missed you dearly last week. Alan Bergen tried to hold a candle, but let's face it, no one is my work wife, Matt Metler.
Well, I appreciate that, Dave, and you're my brother from another mother, the myth, the man, the legend yourself. And as you mentioned, here from wine country, just outside of Elmira, New York, Tony Trapasso often bragged about this being the best wine in the entire country. We are treated to a fine, beautiful treat tonight as some of the best drivers on the iRacing servers take the competition off of the oval onto the street course. And if this race is like anything today, we are in for an iRacing primetime thriller right here on Sim Racing Media.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was an exciting race last week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Next week, we go to Bristol, baby, and believe you me, although that it's going to be a long and arduous race next week, tonight, we're making right-hand turns, we're making left-hand turns, we're changing elevation, we're going through the bus stop, the carousel. I mean, this racetrack has it all, and, you know, folks out there, y'all know that road course racing is not my forte or my favorite, that's for darn sure, but here we are at Watkins Glen, and I think this is probably my favorite road course track. And to your credit, Matt, I feel like it was the great Tony Trapasso who once addicted me to this racetrack.
Yeah, you know, I'm from New York State, so growing up, this was my home track. It was Tony's track. And when him and I would broadcast these races together, we would share a lot of memories about this facility, the great camping that's also here at this racetrack. If you ever think about going to the Glen, I highly recommend it. And, you know, looking at the statistics from earlier today, another sold out crowd. So I think that speaks for itself right there. And how about these drivers here tonight, Dave? We've already busted into the 1 minute, 10-second barrier. I mean, these guys are primed, ready to rock and roll.
Speaking of primed and ready to rock and roll, let's take a look at that playoff tree that we saw last week. Of course, we want to thank our graphics department for putting this together here. As we take a peek, of course, Sean Rogers, Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, Chris Davis, Neil Pearson, Matt Long, Tanner Marty, Eric Papineau, Michael Witt, Chad Sanner, Chris Claude, John Wilco, Ron Fitting, Tane Hodison, Kavaja Holt, and Keith Long. Those are your top 16. You'll see those drivers tonight highlighted in pink on your timing tower, of course, because we are sponsored by Stacy Strong and Trisha's Hope, and we want to thank them for all of their support. Let's take a look at those points, shall we, Matt? Because I know that last week, of course, we were dealing with graphical issues and all kinds of other, shenanigans here, as we do on Sim Racing Media. But this week, we finally have all of our ducks in a row, or at least I darn sure hope so, as we pull these up. Let's check those points out. So Sean Rogers is still our points leader. He's just got a 3-point lead over Matty Long. Matt Long has 2071. Bobby Anderson probably has the biggest gap around him with, 6 points to Matt Long and 7 back to Eric Papineau. We have a 3-way tie right now. Back here for 8th position. Paul Hill, Kavaja Holt, and Keith Long, all with 2,037 points. So all things considered, this is going to be one of those nights that a lot of these drivers, especially the ones that don't have a penchant for road course racing, are going to have to make some hay.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we see Watkins Glen slip into the playoff schedule. That was a great move by NASCAR, in my opinion. This is really going to shake things up here tonight. You mentioned some of the drivers here that are in the playoffs. I want to touch on one really quickly. And how about Mean Machine Bobby Anderson? You go back a couple of weeks, he punched his way finally into victory lane, which found a way to elude him almost any way possible. And he does it of all places at Darlington. Then if go back last week, if I remember watching the end of this race correctly, I want to say he had the lead, and then unfortunate things happened there on the final lap. He didn't get the win, but a very, very strong performance from Anderson here. Now you go to the road course. Does Bobby Anderson, who I believe is going to roll off P11, we'll cover that shortly, have a way to continue to grind it out and continue to keep up that momentum? And some of the other drivers you mentioned, Dave, right here in the, starting up near the front of this field, Paul Hill, the modern day Silver Fox, Neil Pearson. So it's going to be a great mix of talent, and watching some of these guys that their main forte may be on the oval side of things, see how they can contend here to make sure they keep a stranglehold on that playoff spot, or at least keep inside of that top 16 during this round of competition.
Absolutely. And as we get ready to rock and roll tonight, taking a look here at qualifying just about over tonight, we've got a special appearance tonight. Our teammate Emily Urias has decided to, get the racing gloves back out and strap herself into the race cockpit for a change. As right now, Paul Hill driving the number 6, he sits atop the pile. Let's take a look at our race information while we're at it too, since we've got just a few extra minutes here. First of all, it's 80 degrees down on the racetrack. It's 80 degrees in the air, 100 degrees on the asphalt. What does that do, Matt, for a car on a road course? Because I know what it does on a regular oval or something to that effect, but on a road course, does grip, get affected that heavily, when turning right and left?
Absolutely, 100%. And in fact, look how big, the storyline was affected by just that, those Goodyear Eagles. So that 100-degree track temperature, that's going to allow these cars to really maximize and maintain grip. Key word here, once these tires get hot. I've turned some laps here at Watkins Glen this week. This next-gen car, it just does not fire off very well on cold tires. It slips and slides. You got to be careful climbing the hill up 1 and 2, especially when those tires are ice cold. But Dave, once you get some heat in these tires, in my opinion, these are ideal conditions. 80 degrees ambient air temperature, only 37% humidity. These cars going to be making all the power. Combine that with the track temperature that's a little spicy right now, but we should see that trend down a little bit over the course of the race. And I think that is really going to help maximize the speeds here at Watkins Glen. And if we get a long green flag run, tires could be a part of this, especially at the end.
Yeah, tires are going to be a factor tonight. In fact, let's take a look at some of the, of course, now I say that while you know me, I'm not always great with the transitional material. I don't generally hit the clutch before shifting gears. But drivers are going to have 6 tire sets for tonight. Of course, stage 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 20 and then at the conclusion of lap number 40.
Yeah, the conclusion there of lap number 40. These drivers, tires shouldn't be too big of a storyline, stages 1 or 2, but depending how that third and final stage goes and how your strategy breaks down, however you have that set up with your team, your guys there doing all the hard work in the trenches, so to say, they could be a factor here as they were in the main race earlier today. And I just want to mention really quick, Dave, how about that final lap between Buescher and SVG? Finally proves SVG is not a robot. He made a mistake, but Watkins Glen once again puts on another thrilling finish, which rivals, in my opinion, the one back in 2011.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing with what I saw out of SVG today. I mean, first of all, I think you're right. He finally dispelled some of the rumors that we had that he was a robot, because once he gets into a certain groove, it's almost impossible to beat him out of there. And then we wind up, in the event that he finally does flick the wrist just a little bit too soon, and all of a sudden, that really changes things for Chris Buescher as, of course, the real NASCAR season back underway. Dave Riegel here alongside my partner, Matt Metler. We're up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, staggering into the booth sideways out of St. Louis, Missouri. Just so happens to be Alan Bergen, our special needs child.
Welcome, one and all.
No, we're welcoming you. See, that's how that works, Alan. You come in and we say welcome. You don't walk in and say welcome. Why are people welcoming? Why are you welcoming people?
I have no idea.
I feel all of a sudden, I feel like Harrison Ford saying, "Get off my plane."
Well, as you did say, Dave, walking in sideways, that could allude to something else. But Alan, typically you can't officially welcome to someone that you're not even at yet, but they do that in the airline side of the industry all the time. So,
hey, look, one. I just wanted to pop in here for just a second, and I want to let everybody know that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, SRM will be at the 19th running of the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Knoxville Nationals at Knoxville Raceway, with yours truly. So we'll have live updates, and there may or may not be a vlog coming.
He said vlog, not a log. He doesn't have to go to the bathroom. He wasn't recently at Taco Bell.
Or he's not currently rewriting Ren and Stimpy episodes.
No.
That's fair. Everybody, oh, leave it alone. Leave it alone. We haven't even had the green flag tonight, fellas.
But you know what? Let me put the business cap on really quick. You know, David, I'm sure you can agree with me. Alan does so much for SRM, not only in the broadcast booth, but behind the scenes. He is, you know, you just mentioned robot, and that's what I feel like Alan is for SRM. This guy seems he's always available, doesn't no matter what time it is, and he continues to grind it out, gets those credentials. If you guys are going to be in that area, make sure you stop by the race. I know Alan will be more than happy to greet with you as he continues to do everything he can to help us out on in that sector of the business. Cannot say enough thank you to everything Alan Bergen does for us.
Yeah, Bergie was close enough. But, Alan, thank you for checking in with us tonight. We're going to go out there and run 90 laps here at Watkins Glen International. And, buddy, listen, I know that this is New York wine country, but tonight it's Basil Highland in my veins. Sorry. I almost said Basil Hyman. That's different.
Hey, look, the other thing, too, real quickly before we pop out of here, is I'm excited to watch this with you guys on the YouTube.com live chat. Make sure you guys give Matt Mettler and Dave Riegel some love here, as we got Amanda Price already cheering on Sean Rockin' Rogers. So not only that, but give all our staff some love.
As always, we do want to thank all of you tuning in on the YouTube.com live chat. Let us know what you're watching, who you're watching, and what you're listening for right here on Sim Racing Media. But we got to get ready to rock and roll here as drivers are just hopping into the cockpits tonight. Paul Hill going to be our pole sitter tonight. He ran a 1 minute 10-second qualifying lap. He's joined on the front row by the modern-day Silver Fox, Neil Pearson. Matt Long and Austin Call going to be in row number 2, while Ryan Samuelson comes in here to the inside of row number 3 alongside of Tyler Hutter. Tane Hodison and Tanner Marty, they're going to be in row 4, while rounding out your starting top 10 is Kalamazoo, Michigan's very own Sean Rockin' Rogers alongside of Larry Miles, one of our neighbors from the north. Row number 6 is Bobby Anderson with Kavaja Holt featured on the outside, while Chris Davis and Cody McCorkle hold things together in row number 7. Row 8 is Chad Sanner and Keith Long with Diego Rodriguez and Michael Witt in row number 9. Ron Fitting and Eric Papineau going to round out your starting top 20, while Brian Nonamaker and Chris Custer in row 11. Emily Urias, our teammate here at Sim Racing Media, she's alongside of Rich Jett as she has decided to get back into the cockpit tonight with Chris Claude and John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania. They're in row number 13. Logan Giesbrecht and Timothy Cook in row 14 with Ken Ron from Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. He is alongside of Richard Pruitt. 30 drivers scheduled to take the green flag. It looks like Pruitt and Anderson going to be starting from pit road, so 28 drivers ready to run these 90 laps out here.
90 drivers strong here at Watkins Glen, every one of them hoping they cross the finish line first when the checkered flag flies. You guys at home got to stick with us right here on SRM as we guide you through the twists and turns of one of the fastest speed circuits on the road course side of things. In fact, Tony Dave used to call this the super speedway of road courses. New pace car out there. We don't get to see the Porsche very often, but it is out there tonight, and hopefully we see less of that car and more of these next gens on the racetrack as we get strapped in, ready to rock and roll, as you said, for 90 green flag laps.
Yeah, 90 green flag laps. There will not be cautions with the exception of course, stage breaks, and apparently, according to Chief Cook and Bottle Washer Chris Claude, also if bad things should happen and, there's too many cars involved and they have to clear the track, which almost never happens here. I give it about 2 laps before somebody steps away from everything.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Oh, no. Oh, ye of being a realist. Welcome to Zippo World. You know what? I've always been bothered by the fact that Zippo's a sponsor here. It's in Bradford, Pennsylvania. It's not even supposed to be here, but right now the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, pop the cork from that bottle of wine and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Wipe the dust, kick the clutch, hope that rear end doesn't bust. We're getting ready to boogie here at Watkins Glen. In fact, we're already dancing dirty up here near the front. Is the 50 machine, took it way on the high side up there in the nosebleeds of the racetrack, or excuse me, that was the 58 of Neil Pearson. with a big-time moment already as we climb the hill for the first time, Dave Regal.
Yeah, we head on down that long straightaway toward the
Oh,
bus
we
stop.
got trouble.
Oh, dear God. The 48 is around. Bad things are going to happen as we haven't even made the first trip through the bus stop. We stay green as Tyler Hutter has to get the 48 back onto the racetrack. What a disaster for him. Let's take a look here and see what happened to him. Good God.
Yeah, Tyler Hunter became the hunted. As we go here to the aerial view, watch them climb the hill.
Wow.
Somebody got yeeted, and then Hunter had to check up, and he got punted in the business end of that race car. The Tide
definitely
Ride's
took that.
just going to skate by there too, Dave. That could have been a lot worse than it was.
Well, it could have been a lot worse, but here we are rolling along now, and look who's up here at the top of the pile. That's Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, Matt Long, one of those drivers that we, of course, continually pay attention to here on Sim Racing Media. He's been often a bridesmaid and rarely the bride, which that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. But right now, Matt Long getting underway here at Watkins Glen International. I want to welcome everybody into the youtube.com live chat. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. Looks like Stafford Drifts. That's Matt Stafford, my man, down here in Chester, PA, saying, what's up, SNN, SRM crew? Hope you guys listen, Matt Stafford, I love this dude. He's representing the 215 every time he hits the racetrack, and he is now checked in with us in the youtube.com live chat. Tony Rodriguez says, go, Diego, go. Of course, that being Diego Rodriguez, driver of the number 34. Right now, he's in 11th position after gaining already 6 tonight. He rocks over top of the curb and heads on down toward that 90-degree left.
Yeah, Diego Rodriguez is going deep here in the early going, and he's got the K&N Performance intake colors on that race car, and he is certainly living up to that here in the early going, as he's already up 6 positions just outside the top 10 in that 11th place position. Paul Hill, Dave, no surprise, goes fastest lap thus far, breaking into the 1 minute 10 second bracket. Is he now the fastest man here at Watkins Glen in the early going? We continue to follow that 34 machine. And, you know, you mentioned, Dave, the Pennsylvania gang is strong here in the series. And now look at this. They're starting to show up in the YouTube live chat as well. I don't know how you boys do it, but you Pennsylvanians always show up here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series and now on the broadcast side of things as well.
Look, I mean, here's the deal. We sit here as Pennsylvanians, and everybody kind of sends themselves, you know, a little text message, hey, it's Sunday night, you got to be where you got to be. And maybe this is why I sit in the number 1 seat here at Sim Racing Media. Pennsylvania is the Keystone State. I could be the Keystone to Sim Racing Media.
Do you drink Keystone Light, though?
No, I have respect for my liver.
I figured you were going to have a great response to that, as Matty Long continues to lead here in that 97 machine. You know, we talked about the top of the broadcast, Dave, when we were talking about the championship race where we currently are in the first round of the playoffs. All of these drivers that I'm seeing here inside the top 10, Matty Long, Neil Pearson, Paul Hill, Hodison, Samuelson, Rogers, newcomer even Austin Call. All these guys have had momentum throughout, the past month or so. And I think that's, a big factor that's often overlooked. When you're coming off a good finish, it just gives you so much more confidence as a race car driver. It helps elevate yourself, your team, and I think that's a big part of the catalyst that you're going to need, especially if you're going to want to win the championship here when it all comes down to Phoenix at the end of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix is still quite a ways away. We still have to get through all of the month of October and most of November before we get there. And, Phoenix is something that a lot of these guys were thinking about back in March and April. That's why they were notching those wins on their belts early, getting themselves into the playoffs, making sure that they were, in the best position to succeed, which I feel like is probably a good life mantra as well, if you will. But taking a look here at Keith Long, he's only about 0.2 of a second behind Michael Witt, and Michael Witt is starting to drive away from him. Keith Long, of course, a playoff driver as well as Michael Witt. You can see those playoff drivers all highlighted in purple. This seems to kind of be the playoff festival on the left-hand side of your screen.
That's a great way to put it, and you guys at home can keep along with us as you can pay attention to that timing or our scoring tower right here on SRM, where you can keep track of all the playoff drivers as we go out throughout the course of this race. as we now work in lap 5 of the scheduled 90. And folks at home, don't worry. If we need the extra innings like we needed earlier today, we also have that at our disposal as well. We'll do everything we can to make sure we finish this race under green flag conditions as these drivers now fire back up into the bus stop once again. And Dave, we've seen it earlier, that bus stop is treacherous, and sometimes it can catch you sleeping here. These drivers need to be extra especially careful going through that sector of the race course, especially with the track temp at that century mark of 100 degrees.
I've seen a lot of these drivers and met a lot of them over the years. Many of them are what we would refer to as extra special, believe you me. As we take a look here at Keith Long and now Eric Papineau here in the 17 Liberty University Chevrolet Camaro. We peek just a little bit further up to Michael Witt and Cody McCorkle as we flip-flop between these two drivers. Here is Cody McCorkle in what should be the 82. He's being painted as the 78. Thanks, Trading Paints. Oh, you know what the problem is? Bet you I never started trading paints. Bet you I did. Nope, I didn't.
Oopsie. Dave, I am guilty of that myself. And I would have called it out to you, but I have trading paints running on my end. I was going to mention a particular paint scheme out there in competition, but I won't do that until you get that loaded and situated on your side of things. As we go back up to the front of this piece, it's been all Matty Long really since the drop of the green flag, as he has that dark horse out here in Watkins Glen carrying the torch, but Neil Pearson certainly keeping him honest. Both those drivers very good friends as well, as it's Matt Long, Neil Pearson, the Dent Slayer, Paul Hill in third, Tane Hodison, and one of the guys that's really been making a lot of noise here of recent in the series, Ryan Samuelson, in that TRD-powered machine, rounds out your top 5 as they currently run right now.
Let's take a look at Ryan Samuelson here. Of course, Mr. Wicked 127 Gaming asking what happened to Tyler Hunter. I don't know. It's like, you know, who killed Virginia Woolf or whatever the thing was. Tyler Hunter. Let's see. Oh, he went off track multiple times, evidently. Let's see how he did. Oh, he got sideways. That's not, you're not supposed to go that way. You can't park there.
Yeah, this race did not start out good for Tyler Hunter, and it seems he continued. Oh!
Well, this is the original wreck.
This is the original, right.
I think Mr. Wicked's a little bit slow.
Or Mr. Wicked could just be joining the broadcast too, but
welcome in.
We appreciate you being here, Mr. Wicked, but it started off wicked in the wrong way for Hunter. Good news is he got plenty of time to rebound here in that ZL1 Camaro, as we're not even 10 laps into this piece. And Dave, before that, you were talking about Ryan Samuelson there in the 81.
Ryan Samuelson is one of those drivers that we have seen all season long. He's out of Westminster, Maryland. I've told him 100 times he still won't change the tagline. It says that he's my sister's favorite driver, and I've told him before he wouldn't be her favorite driver. She's not into dudes. But he keeps it moving.
I admire his effort. You know, he inspired me to put your mother's favorite driver in mine. So.
You know what, though? Because of the fact that it's you, when I saw that last week in the Racers Elite Cup Series, I decided that you're allowed to be my mother's favorite driver. It's fine.
Oh, I appreciate that, Dave. I didn't think you'd have a problem with it, but I want to tip the hat to Ryan Samuelson there because, you know, his famous, you know, tagline, your sister's favorite driver, is really what inspired me to do that. Cody McCorkle, go ahead.
You know, that's one thing that I'm always very fascinated by here on Sim Racing Media. We're starting to transcend our leagues. We're starting to bring things from one league to another. And I'm not saying that Sim Racing Media has anything to do with it, but people like you who are taking the Samuelson tagline, adding it to your own bio information, or, you know, of course, Diego Rodriguez saying Howdy Dave Regal on his race truck, those are the things that I think are great, because when we do different leagues here on Sim Racing Media, of course, it then gives a little bit of continuity. It takes some of that and cranks up the, you know, basically, to me, the camaraderie and the friendship that we all kind of experience together here on iRacing.com and YouTube.com. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you're new here, make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you can be notified every time we go live here on YouTube.com. Of course, keep your eyes open for the Allen Experience, who's going to be down there at Knoxville, which, you know what, that sounded like an exciting adventure for him.
Oh, it certainly did, and I talked to him a little bit, and he's been fired up. And, you know, I used to, at one point in time, have special privileges, credentials, and I know what it's like being behind the scenes, being on pit road, when the track is hot, being around the teams, the drivers. And once you get a taste of that, you just never want to let it go. And like I said, I'm just fired up for Alan, happy for SRM and for him to be able to open up that chapter of his career. And if you guys are in that area, like Dave said, make sure you go check him out. Trust me, he is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet and probably kill 2 to 3 hours of your time. He is not shy. He will talk with just about anybody as we continue to focus here on the front of this piece between Matt Long, Neil Pearson, Paul Hill. That's your top 3. And Dave, there's a driver in that 7th place position. He's new to this series, but performs very well. You were talking about how SRM kind of has been taking, what they do in other series and migrating it to others. Austin Call, a big name in the SCL side of things, comes over here to the Stacy Strong Cup Series. This guy just has not had lady luck on his side. Every time I've been up here in the booth, he has been a force to be reckoned with one way or the other. He just hasn't had the finishes to show for it. I think this is a place that he could possibly turn that around. Very good road course racer out of the gentleman from Spring, Texas, talking about that Aflac 40 right there on the racetrack. And if you go one position ahead of him in that 6th place position, Sean Rockin' Rogers showing some love to Bill's Mafia in the 44.
That. You know what? This is your thing. You go ahead and be a Bills fan. I'm going to refill my glass.
You go refill your glass, but you're right. I mean, I'm born in Buffalo. I'm going to be a Bills fan first and foremost, even down here just north of Miami where I get all kinds of hate. You wouldn't believe the hate, but Sean Rogers has a heck of a paint scheme on that race car here. I got a chance to spy on him in the Discord when he was putting it together. I didn't want to spoil the surprise for you there, Dave, as apparently that's sickens him to death, as he's probably a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but he even got the beast mode on the side of that car in the right front, and here he is on the attack going after Ryan Samuelson in that 81 machine. He's going to dip down to the hard side, try to outbrake him here, but Samuelson going to send it into the bus stop. You see those rotors glowing on Rogers' ZL1 Camaro already. That was a big-time move there by Samuelson to keep the 44 behind him. But Rogers is not going to dial the pressure back. He is going to keep him honest and on the attack. Continues to take a peek there. He's going to get back in line. Give a chance to regroup here. Let's see if he makes a move here on the final corner. Samuelson's going to take a defensive line. Is Rogers and Samuelson going to keep the popcorn bowls full here in the early going? Now working lap 12. Make that 13 to 90.
Well, here he is, Ryan Samuelson out of Westminster, Maryland, and of course just ahead of him, Tane Hodison driving the number 93. But that battle that he's got going on with Sean Rogers is absolutely heated. I don't doubt 1 second that Sean Rogers is digging for a W tonight. But here's the thing. Right now, Matt Long is, whoa, just at the wrong time. We go ahead to Matt Long. He just slides sideways and opens the door for Neil Pearson and Paul Hill to steal away those 2 front spots. There's Neil Pearson, and here's Paul Hill. Matt Long now having to look from behind as we go there it is. There's the nose cam. As we go back on board with him, my God, he has got to be driving very, very angry.
Or he could have found that bowl of chocolate pudding after that move there through the bus stop. I don't know.
Something tells me that somebody should probably grab him a Tide pen and shove it in the window net because he's going to need to clean that fire suit.
Yeah, that's definitely going to need more than a stain stick there. But how about the save? I mean, that car was 45 degrees pointed in the opposite direction. And that's the one I want to say nice thing about this next gen. If it gets out of shape, how we just seen Matty Long, if you stab the brakes and you just lock him up, this car will kind of almost drift in a way where you can kind of get it pointed in the right direction a little bit and then deploy the save from there, which is what Matty Long did right there. But Dave, to your point, he probably doesn't want to do that again, and flat spotting those tires like that is certainly not going to help his efforts here in the early going.
Definitely not. I just took a peek over here at the youtube.com live chat, and shots have been fired from St. Louis at the Bills Mafia.
Hey, we take it. It's fine.
No, this one's almost just that side of dirty. The Allen experience saying that he would rather root for the Dallas Cowboys. And first of all, Allen, we're not taking any applications right now.
That's a low blow. Obviously, going back to the 90s when we know what happened.
You mean the 90s that were anchored by Kenneth Aikman?
And Emmitt Smith and
Troy Kenneth. That's all that matters.
Troy,
Three-time Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, the pride of Henrietta, Oklahoma. That's about it there. But you know what? And the Cowboys got shellacked today, 44-19, at their home opener. So if Jerry Jones wasn't suicidal before, he's on his way to True Value right now to buy a length of rope.
He's going to need a bucket, too. You're going to need that industrial bucket, Jerry.
Nope. Brooks only needed a small table in his one-room apartment. Jerry can get it done.
Jerry, don't be scary now. It's just a loss, but Dave, you know what? Even though they may have got shellacked today by a big margin, it still doesn't help erase the trauma from all those years ago. I mean, I was just a little guy when that happened back.
The Four Falls of Buffalo.
Yep, and really, even in spite of their recent uptick in performance, we've gotten close so many times over the past couple years. Now that Tom Brady has went on, thank God, because he destroyed my life going through middle school and high school. It still doesn't erase the pain. We remember, as Bills Mafia, what happened back in the 90s. And the only way to fix that, I'm sorry, is with a Super Bowl win. And God, if they ever make it to the Super Bowl, I'm going to need a whole wide open plethora of antidepressants, Xanax, you name it, because I'm probably I don't even want to think about my mental state if they make it to the Super Bowl. As we continue to focus here on Matty Long, who's now slid back to that third place position, but the Atlanta man has that car locked back down on the racetrack. However, that did allow his partner in crime, Neil Pearson, the modern day Silver Fox, to gain one position from where he started. He now carries the torch here at Watkins Glen, and they're already starting to close in on lap traffic. That's the HMFIC. Chris Claude just in front of him. And this is uncharacteristic for Claude to be going a lap down here this early. He must have had a problem out there on the racetrack, and in fact, you can see some damage to the front of that Camry.
Yeah, here's Chris Claude's problem. We were turning right. That's the long and the short of it.
Well, the good news is his car is still turning right, though.
Right. Now, let's keep in mind, I'm sitting here thinking about the Four Falls of Buffalo, which, by the way, is a great 30 for 30 over on the Worldwide Leader. I don't even like ESPN anymore. I can't stand them after what they did to Dan Le Batard. But what I want to say, though, is that if you look at the Four Falls of Buffalo, do you know what the worst part of that era in football was for Buffalonians? Is that a word, Buffalonian? Not sure.
Yeah, that's a word.
All right. So the worst part is all four of those losses came at the hands of the NFC East. You had
every single one of them.
Right. You had New York, Washington, and then back-to-back against the Cowboys. Now, I don't want to say anything too sideways because I do live just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but the only team that didn't beat them in the Super Bowl during that era were the Philadelphia Eagles. And as much as I care about, Eagles fans, and of course, whether we're new and I just met you, or whether it's somebody who I've known for years, it doesn't matter how ugly some of my old friends are or how beautiful some of my new friends are. I have to tell you, you couldn't beat the Buffalo Bills in the 90s. What did you have?
But you guys also had Nick Foles in the Philly special.
I don't know who you guys is, but I don't have a single. The only green that's in my house.
I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Don't cuss at me like that. The only green that's in my house is the Gain wax melts that I keep to make the house smell nice.
Wait a minute. So are you saying what I think you're saying?
That I bleed little blue stars?
Fair enough.
I bleed little blue. And you know what? To be fair, football is just how I get between baseball seasons.
Well, that you're right on that, Dave. I know your true passion is with balls and bats, no pun intended. as Neil Pearson continues to lead.
I can't stand you. You can't lay a grenade like that in the middle of the floor. I'm supposed to pick that up.
That wasn't a grenade. That was a landmine.
Yeah, and great. I'm gonna just roll right over top of it.
I don't even know what to say after that. I didn't even realize what I said until after I said it, and then it kind of sunk in.
So this just in from an Eagles fan that I've just gotten to know. First off, she falls into the beautiful category, but apparently, as long as I don't start none, there won't be none, is what I'm told.
Perfect.
So it turns out, as long as I keep my mouth shut, everything sails forward.
That's going to be hard to do. I mean,
yeah, you're gonna have to cork me like a horse in a parade.
There's not enough peanut butter and Jiffy Lube to shut him up, ladies and gentlemen. I can promise you that.
I mean, just give me something nice to watch on TV. Here, you go over there and sit at the kids' table and watch this. Stay away from the nice people and don't say anything dumb.
But, that's why, being up here in the broadcast booth, you always have to tread lightly when you start talking about sports. Because you know what? And it's a good problem because, you want to have those passionate fans and those teams, that, as you mentioned, bleeding Dallas Cowboys Stars colors, Dave. That's always a good thing. And that's really what sports are about. And it's great to have, the crap talking, the rivalries, this and that. But at the end of the day, when you have passionate fans that would just about do anything, for the team that they love and believe in, I respect that more than anything, regardless of who your team is. But just having that passion, being on that same level, regardless if we love the same team or not, that's really what it's all about. And I love seeing that here in the YouTube live chat as Pearson Hill and Matty Long continue to put on a show here. In fact, they're already starting to check out at Dodge. Paul Hill is really the only person on the racetrack keeping the modern-day Silver Fox honest. He's with inside a half a second. Then you have to go back almost 6 seconds to Matty Long in third, and then Hodison already almost 15 seconds back in that fourth-place position. As Tony Trapasso would like to say at times, we're already more strung out than a methadone clinic.
And that line at the methadone clinic is longer than you can stretch. Right now, as for some of these intervals right now that we're seeing, we're looking at some of these drivers. In fact, Rich Jett going to be the next one to fall down here as he's 1 minute 8 seconds behind Neil Pearson, and Neil Pearson just ran a 1 minute 11.69.
Sorry about that, folks. I was
Nope.
choking on a swig of water there before it got sent back to me, and I had to kind of gather myself.
Look, it's fine. I mean, listen, you didn't give me the universal sign for choking. I mean, I realize that you and I are working with an audio medium, and everybody else can see what's going on the screen. As caution is out, here we are at the end of stage number 1. Neil Pearson, Paul Hill, Matt Long, Tane Hodison, Sean Rogers, Tanner Marty, Austin Call, Ryan Samuelson, Larry Miles, and Chris Davis. They all received those all-important stage points here. And just one more moment here with the Eagles fans, because I feel like I may or may not have accidentally might have offended people, and quite frankly, I don't want spit in my coffee from Wawa tomorrow morning. But I just want to say that especially those of the beautiful persuasion that I've only just gotten to know, I will gladly keep my mouth shut in order to keep myself out of business, or out of trouble, I mean.
All of that,
I feel like I have to really reiterate that, at least for the foreseeable future.
Hey, well, now we know.
Well, I'm just saying, if the Phillies wind up puking all over the mound for the next couple of weeks as we get ready to go to the Major League Baseball playoff, you know what? Don't even get me started. Leave me alone with that one. Frank Marchese and I were talking about the Phillies last night and yesterday and today, because of course he is a diehard Mets fan.
Father Frank is a diehard Mets fan.
Yep.
I never would have thought that in a million years, given what his, main profession is. That's a little hard for me to swallow, but hey, nonetheless, it's still baseball, and that is your true passion, your bread and butter, Dave. So I see where you're going with that.
I do like butter. Don't bring me that margarine. That's one molecule away from being plastic. It's got to be bread and butter. It's got to be good bread too, from Bimbo Bakery. By the way, can you imagine that there's a bakery in Philadelphia called Bimbo? Let that sink in for a minute.
Is it Beanbo or Bimbo?
I'm calling it Bimbo, pal.
Okay, Bimbo it is. Bimbo bread.
Yep, Bimbo bread. Let's see if we can get a hold of Neil Pearson out of the Dirty South Racing Stable in just a moment. As he's going to slither on down pit road. Here we go. He's going to stop. And, of course, the interesting thing here for pit crews tonight is the fact that they're going to be working right sides first and then left side, or I'm sorry, left sides and then right sides as opposed to rights then lefts. But right now, with us here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth is Neil Pearson out of Perth, Australia. Hey, Neil, it's Dave. You got me?
I got you, Dave.
Buddy, listen, a good run, a good finish here at the end of stage number 1. I mean, you got around Matt Long after he had a little cough-up incident, if you will, as he literally just handed you the lead. But what does the racetrack feel like tonight, and what does that next-gen Cup car feel like as you get back underway?
It's very slippery. I'm struggling a little bit under brakes. Paul, he's got really good brakes at the moment, so I think he's got me covered a little bit, but, I've got track position, so track position is key. So as long as I stay in front of him, I think I can hold him off. It sucks for Matt. He lost it in the short shoe, or the inner loop, sorry. And, I was able to get around him without touching him, and, it was a bit wild that first stint, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know what? This is one of the things that we've come to know and love about the Stacy Strong Cup Series. First off, you guys always put on one heck of a show. You're always able to keep everything entertaining, even when you're starting to lap cars at a road course. I mean, we've already seen it where some of you have left, just 4 or 5 or 6 cars left on the lead lap at the end of one of these things. But, at a road course, do you feel more comfortable, being from Australia, or are you more of an oval driver?
Honestly, I think I'm more of an oval driver. I feel more comfortable. I don't have to do as much practice on an oval. Where here I got to put a bit more time in. But, I think I'm probably get better results on a road course. But, I think I like to think of myself as an oval driver.
Yeah, it's always exciting. I mean, folks, you have to understand that Perth, Australia is several hours ahead of us. And just to peel back the curtain, Neil, what time is it there in Australia?
It's 8 a.m.
He's 12 hours ahead of us, folks, here on the East Coast. So that's 8 a.m. Monday morning. By 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'll be sitting with in my office and hating my Monday already. So you can get a 12-hour jump on hating Monday for me.
Oh, I'm hating it already. Don't you worry.
All right, buddy, listen, good luck as we get ready to go back green flag racing, and maybe we'll see you at the end of stage number 2.
I'm hoping.
Matt, I'll tell you what, as we talk to some of these drivers, especially like Neil, who comes out of the Dirty South stable, we hear a lot of that where guys that don't like a certain type of track or an individual track in and of itself, somehow those are the guys who do better and, at that track because they put that much more work in it. Speaking of putting work in it, looks like Sean Rockin' Rogers has decided he's not going to come down pit road and stays ahead of the field. He's going to start with the lead here.
Well, not only that, it looks to be a beast mode performance move as Chris Davis is going to occupy that second place position here on the restart. So it's a beast mode performance front row here. They have stayed out, taking a play out of today's race. Everyone else from Neil Pearson on back have all came down on lap 21. You heard, Pierce, or excuse me, that was Pearson. I had a momentary or mentally brain fart there. Mention how slick it was out there. I want to see how the tires on Rogers and Davis hold up here to the rest of the competition on fresh Dr. Feelgoods as the lights are out on that iRacing.com Porsche as we get ready to go back to green flag action here at Watkins Glen.
I've always wondered, why does the iRacing.com pace car driver have to wear headphones? I mean, I realize that, it's loud down there, blah, 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 but Do they have to be so big? I mean, can't he just wear like an IFB like we would on television?
Well,
It seems
he
a
needs
little
a lot
bit
of
overkill.
hearing protection to block out our, our commentary, and that's probably what they're trying to do.
What hearing protection? I can't hear anything.
It's,
Oh, is that
it's
the problem that we're trying to avoid?
It's all exactly, Dave.
Can you tell how little there is to do in a certain section of the country where the advertisement is go bowling?
It used to be the butt at the Glen. I'm just saying.
Look, Zippo is in Bradford, Pennsylvania. Go bowling is all over the rest of this racetrack. And you know what they're really missing? Ward and American LaFrance fire apparatus, which was made in Elmira, New York.
Hey, go bowling, go cow tipping, but most of all, oh, geez, Paul Hill just got sent out of the hot dog bun as he went corralling off the track. Go back to the instant replay here on SRM. Go to the chopper and watch the 6. He is going to get corked here. Oh, he gets spun off the nose of Davis. Makes light contact there with that. I don't want to call it the safer barrier, the guardrail. Thanks, Davis. He went for a wild ride. I thought that was going to be a big-time impact for the 6, but not the case. Another driver here with almost a near-death experience here on these restarts at Watkins Glen.
Did you say riled ride, like with an R?
Yes.
So we're doing the Asian broadcast then? Like a
I wanted
cataract?
Why not?
Yeah, like a cataract. Here, you thought cataracts are something that your great-grandmother got. Nope, that's an Asian luxury car.
I did not know it was an Asian luxury car.
Yeah, just like Irene, Asian lady with one leg. I hope we here at Sim Racing Media. We here at Sim Racing Media don't take responsibility for anything that comes out of Dave Smith.
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
You know, I used to watch the Ferguson show when he was on the Late Late Show, and that was one of my favorite bits. We here at CBS don't... oh, God, yeah. We here at CBS don't endorse the things that come out of Craig's mouth.
I like how you had that almost memorized.
I loved it. It was fantastic.
As Dave instantly deploys his get-out-of-jail-free card.
The worst part is I have to speak for SRM and apologize as SRM. Quite frankly,
someone
I feel like
that's not giving any apologies right now on the racetrack, that's Sean Rocket Rogers in that Bills Mafia paint scheme number 44. No tires, no problem, as he now stretches it out almost to a second over Neil Pearson, who's now taken that second place spot from Sean Rocket Rogers. In fact, excuse me, as my timing and scoring comes back to life, Sean Rocket Rogers continues to lead this race. Neil Pearson now slides back to second. Tane Hodison up 4 spots there in that third place in that 93 machine. Dave, Tane Hodison having a good run this far.
Tane Hodison has had a really strong run. Right now, the 93 is up 4 positions, running in third right now. And I mean, listen, that Dark Horse Mustang is doing everything that he can to stay right ahead of Matt Long. But look, here comes Matt Long to the inside.
Matty Long looks to the inside, however, decides not to pull the trigger there. Remember, folks, at the top of the broadcast, when we just basically, during the first 5 laps of competition, Matty Long had a slide for life there. Thought better of it there as you seen him back off. Now he's going to turn the afterburners back on, and he's going to go on a hard attack here, trying to steal the spot from Tane Hodison here into this braking zone, perhaps. So wait for that camera to come around. He didn't have enough momentum there. Oh, big-time wiggle out of the 93, or excuse me, 97 machine. Hodison's in the 93. Dave, these guys are really slipping and sliding a lot more than I thought they would be. I know that 100-degree temperature, that track temperature out there, usually it slickens things up a little bit, but typically not to the extent we're seeing here at Watkins Glen. In fact, it has now come down a couple degrees, now holding at 97. Perhaps these cars are set up on the looser side of things. Remember, everyone watching along at home, these are not fixed setups. These are open. These drivers can custom tune these cars any way they'd like. So perhaps they're just a little off or on the loose side of things. And is mentioning loose, there's the 58.
Watch the 93 work around the 58 here of Neil Pearson as Tane Hodison just got the Rogue Family Law Ford Mustang around Neil Pearson with what seemed to be relative ease, and all of a sudden somebody has thrown the caution flag. I don't know who caused it. Let's go with Cody McCorkle here. Let's take a peek. And Cody McCorkle apparently went off track a moment ago, and we shoot through the bus stop. Oh, and here he comes. Oh, easy there, big fella. You know what? That's probably a good call by race control to throw the caution, because there was a lot of traffic that he was going to have to avoid.
Cody McCorkle should go and buy a lottery ticket, because he should have just been KO'd there multiple times. If you go back about 2 years ago, back when Cliff Corriveau still called races here at SRM, one of the guys I wish would come back and do a broadcast or two, we were calling a race here at AARL when a very similar situation happened. Unfortunately, it took out all three leaders at that point in time deep in the playoffs, and I had flashbacks as we watched that on the SRM instant replay. I mean, he should go buy a lottery ticket. The drivers that barely scathed by inches should do the same, or go to Las Vegas to the high-stakes tables, because that right there should have been absolutely disastrous. However, not the case, but what a great job by race control. Racing to throw the caution flag is, with no doubt, without question, that should bring out a yellow, as that was probably one of the worst places for that car to come to rest out there on the racing surface.
Let me ask a question about these high stakes table you talk of. Do they give the stakes weed? And what stakes do they have? Are these Delmonicos with a punt, or is it like a T-bone with a bowl?
Unfortunately, it's not USDA choice. It's not beef related at all.
Did you say filleted or filleted? Go ahead. Do something with that. Go ahead.
I didn't even say fillet. I said they're not USDA or USD choice. I said, in fact, it's not beef related at all.
See, I heard beef related and suddenly thought filleted. I don't know what I don't know what happened.
You also did say load.
It's my duty. It's my duty to keep it moving here. Duty.
It's your duty. It's Dave's call of duty. Well, the guys that are carrying the call of their duty very well out there on the racetrack right now. How about Sean Rogers? No tires, no Dr. Feelgoods on that race car. Remember, one of the two drivers that stayed out, in fact, both Beast Mode performance cars stayed out on the racetrack, doing a great job out there, just carrying the torch in the 44 machine with those Bills Mafia Buffalo Bills colors. So fitting to see that car out there leading here in wine country. And I know some of you guys at home may be saying, hey, it's Elmira, New York. It's 4.5, 5 hours from Buffalo. Hey, you're still on that side of the Hudson. That is prime time Buffalo country. And other than a little bit of damage on the back of Rogers Camaro, doing a great job thus far as we get this field re-racked, restacked, ready to rock and roll after a near nuclear bomb went off as Tane Hodison went on the slide for life.
The slide for life. You know what? I'm going to leave it alone. Just leaving that one alone.
Go for it.
Nope. Go, let it go.
The slide for life. I mean, he basically almost lost his life. If he was an inch further up the racetrack, it would have been game over for him and a couple other cars. I mean, that could have been, I forget what year it was, when the driver of the 00 at that point in time, was that Michael McDowell perhaps? I think it was. Had that horrific, violent wreck here at Watkins Glen through this section of the racetrack. That woulda, coulda, shoulda happened to Tane Hodison. So that's what I meant by the slide for life.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that it had nothing to do with, like, Astroglide.
No.
I mean, just in case you have any irritation or, dryness.
Astroglide is not going to help you with sensation or loss of feel.
Well, you know, we're sponsored by Valvoline. That's a lubricant.
Oh, my God.
I just thought that I would bring the A game. You know, here's the problem, folks. The other night...
I see where you're getting confused. They're both petroleum-based.
Yes, that's
it.
why. That's why. Well, you know, I prefer the water-based. It's easier to rinse. You never know. But, you know, here's the thing, folks. I spent the evening with two of our former colleagues here at Sim Racing Media on Friday night after the Racers Elite Truck Series at Talladega, and it rejuvenated me to do what we do every day.
As you should.
Are you even there right now, or have you just completely spun away from the microphone and decided that's enough?
I spun away from the microphone for a brief moment for good reason.
Just say, look, I'm just saying there are certain people at this company that I miss, and being able to hang out with them for a couple of hours and laugh. Oh, I haven't laughed like that in a long time.
Hey, laughter is always good. In fact, well, that's one thing I look forward to being up here in the booth, because I never know what type of one-liner you're cooking up for me next, or hitting me on the back channel trying to make me think it was something that was said live, and having to try to scramble and figure out what to say to counter after no one heard it at all, which is even more awkward after all this said and done. So I like being up here with you, pal. It's always a wild ride, goes into unexpected territories, as it's already done multiple times over the course of this past 30 laps.
Well, and here we are with the iRacing.com pace car ready to turn back down pit road the next few moments. Here as the lights are off, it's going to be Sean Rogers, Tane Hodison, Neil Pearson, Matt Long, Austin Call. That's your top five. Here comes the iRacing.com pace car to peel on down pit road.
iRacing.com pace car is going to peel off down pit road. Sean Rockin' Rogers going to have the button here. Tane Hodison. And my son says hello to Tane Hodison here as we approach the Geico restart zone. Barney's got the green flag in the air. The glorious V8s come roaring back to life as we slide up the gearbox one more time here in Watkins, Glen, New York. The 44 going to take a very conservative approach to that corner. Going to be able to control both lines there as we now form back into one. Sean Rogers carries the torch up the hill, followed by Neil Pearson, Tane Hodison, Matt Long, and Mr. Texas, Austin Call, now inside the top five, Dave.
Austin Call in the number 40 Aflac machine. I'm not going to do the Aflac voice, but you know what I discovered this week? Now, he is out here in a Toyota Camry. Do you know? Wow. Whoa. Easy there, Tane Hodison, as Tane Hodison has now... Whoa! Here comes the 97 back... I'm sorry, the 92. Back onto the racetrack. Bad things happening for the 97 of Matt Long, as it just seems like he's having a rough day. Do you know what the Toyota logo is?
I know what it looks like. I know it very well. I don't know.
What do you think it looks like?
The Toyota logo. I don't...
Okay.
I really haven't kind of thought outside the box
It is
on
the
that
letter
one.
T it's the letter T drawn with three ovals. I thought
did
that it
not
was some
know
kind
that.
of like Japanese secret symbol, you know, kind of like a Tibetan good luck charm that might have been used between 1933 and 1945. But it turned out to be just a regular T with a couple of ovals.
I did not know that. Now, I can tell you, if you're talking about another Japanese manufacturer, is the 81 Samuelson is off into the grass, goes John Deere mode. Had an off track just after that DRS zone side. Not applicable, however, here in NASCAR. As we go back to the eye in the sky, you can see Samuelson there off the pace, big time.
Yeah, he had the rear end step around and it just would not stop. In fact, let's take one more peek at that, because that had the potential to be awful ugly. But fortunately, he was able to keep it together. He was a little loose coming out of the S's, and then as he came up the hill, smacks one wall, gets it together, and then ricochets across. The rear end would not stay underneath him.
You know, Dave, when your rear end gets loose, it doesn't stop either. So I see where you were going with that.
Well, you beat me to it. It depends on what kind of music is playing and where I happen to be. Like, if they start playing salsa music when we go to Miami next month, that's a done deal. I'm going to throw a hip out.
Or if it's a bar in Myrtle Beach that has karaoke.
Look.
And I'd be there with you, right there
Buddy,
with you.
I've invited you to Myrtle Beach. Let's go. We're going.
I'm ready. I need
is Tuesday nights. Tuesdays,
I need
Thursdays,
a Myrtle
and
Beach
Saturdays.
karaoke return. For sure, 100%.
I can really kill it on the Billy Joel.
Only the good die young.
Nope, Uptown Girl.
Of course.
I mean, how else? Uh-oh, there goes the 48 again. Good
What's going
God.
uptown?
There we were. No. That's a different song. That's Kesha. It's going down. It's Tyler Hutter hitting the toe button and getting a ride back to pit road as Neil Pearson leads this piece, now followed by Sean Rockin' Rogers, Austin Call, Tanner Marty, and Bobby Anderson. That's your top 5. Taking a peek at the YouTube.com live chat, we see the Allen Experience saying that Dave loves the Phillies, Cowboys, and Trump. No. We're going to leave that one. That's a landmine in and of itself.
That's a nuclear bomb.
No. Wesley Napier, by the way, Napier, the last name of Alan Napier, the first TV Alfred in the Batman series, just saying. He heard MLB, the Reds are always mid, but they have the fastest man in the league, so that's okay. That's Matt Mackin. I'm sorry, Wesley Napier. The Allen Experience fighting back with St. Louis is so far out of the NL wildcard race that they think that they're in. Yeah, they're in next year's wildcard race already. Hey.
I heard a Matt Mackin in there, and I know, not even correlated here, but there's a driver that we're kind of missing in competition tonight. Matt Mackin, not out here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Hope to see him back next week as we now continue to work lap 34 of the scheduled 90 here. And how about Sean Rogers finally going to relinquish the lead here to Neil Pearson? And he's still out there on the tires he started this race with 35, or working to put 35 laps on them. And I'll tell you what, Dave, in the race today where we saw Shane Van Gisbergen and the one of Ross Chastain stay out, it was right about that lap 31, 32 mark where in real life they really checked out to lunch. But going to pay a lot of attention here to Rogers to see if the handling on that race car falls off the cliff like it did in real life today. But Neil Pearson has some new looks on his ride, and he's out there vibing right now as he leads here from Watkins Glen.
And here we are on lap number 35. We're just a few laps away from that stage break that's been scheduled already for lap number 40. So we're only about 5 laps this time by as Neil Pearson leads the way. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Riegel. He's Matt Metler, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
Gasket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it. They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
So hi, my name's Christy. I'm a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't fit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Race fans, welcome back to Sim Racing Media here in primetime as the Stacy Strong Cup Series continues to do battle here in wine country. Dave, one of the nicest places in the state of New York, if you ask me. Now working lap 40 out of the scheduled 90, and that means stage break is literally right around the corner.
Yeah, Matt, I'll tell you what, as we get settled in here for the Stage 3 finale, looks like Neil Pearson coming down that little short stretch between what to me just feels like a little bit of a back road drive. At least here at Watkins Glen, it feels like a back road drive. He's about to make that turn past the entry to pit road as Neil Pearson gets ready to capture his second green and white checkered flag of the evening, as the stage will conclude as soon as he crosses the start-finish line. There it is. Neil Pearson wins stage number 2. That freezes the field. Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, Tanner Marty, Larry Miles, Eric Papineau, Kavaja Holt, Michael Witt, Keith Long, and Chris Davis. That is your top 10.
It's the top 10 as they currently run right now. All these drivers, Dave, getting very critical stage points. But how about this drive from the modern-day Silver Fox? Granted, he was gifted the lead by that, the don't stain your ride, use tide moment of the race by the 97 of Matty Log. But since then, I mean, Pearson really has not looked back at all. He has had a lot of pace and performance in that ZL1 Camaro. And look who is sitting there in third. I talked about him top of the broadcast, the Mean Machine, Bobby Anderson, another Ford, currently holding down that final podium place position. Going to continue to watch that Interstate Batteries. Boy, that is hard to say. Ford Mustang, as I often think back to when Bobby Labonte drove that car.
You just want to say Pontiac, don't you?
I do. I really want to say I want the excitement back.
You know what? I kind of miss Pontiac to some degree. But at the same time, I feel at one point, GM had way too many labels.
Yeah, Saturn, that one needed to go in. So
Saturn, Geo, Chevy, GMC, Pontiac. There had to be something else, I'm sure. Oh, Cadillac, of course.
Let me tell you something. Geo is commuter metro cars that could have been, that alliance they had with Toyota. You could not kill those things.
No.
The Geo Metro, the Storm, the Tracker. I mean, those things were virtually indestructible.
You know what? It was almost like seeing an animal in the wild the other day. I was at the Wawa up the road from where I work and live, and I saw a Geo Tracker. The thing was cherry. I mean, still looked beautifully perfect. The rag top was even proper on it yet. And all I could do was sit there and stare at it. I hope nobody caught me staring because it would have been awkward. But I sat there thinking, how is it alive? And apparently it just will not die.
Well, the part about those cars that would die if you're, north of the Mason-Dixon line was from all of the road salt. They did not hold up well in the Northeast. However, if you could solve the skin care or the skin cancer problem on those, they will literally run forever.
Well, that's true. I mean, listen, the Tracker was the same as those mid-2000s Dodge Rams that developed Chrysler cancer.
Yes. Well,
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Why I can't talk right now.
Well, folks, looks like here we're getting ready to go down pit road. We're waiting for them to come around. I know that it's a long time here as, all things considered. We're getting ready to go back green flag racing in a couple of laps. Let's see if we can get a hold of Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, as he has now won back-to-back green and white checkered flags here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Hey, Neil, it's Dave. You got me?
I got you.
Well, Neil, you've got back-to-back green and white checkered flags tonight. Things seem to be going your way, all things considered. What's going to be your strategy here coming into Stage 3?
Try and make a gap, save some much fuel as I can, and have that shortest pit time at the end, and maybe pit as early as I can as well, just cover any potential pace car caution.
Yeah, we've only had one caution for cause tonight, and that of course was at the beginning of Stage 2. Right after you guys had taken the green and white, the green checkered. Wow, I can do this. I can talk. I swear to God. After you guys had taken the green flag, and here's the thing. I know that we don't get cautions on road courses very much, but at the same time, now we've got 50 to go. What's going to be, your mindset? Because I saw that you didn't come down pit road this time.
No, I mean everyone's got to pit one more from here anyway, and so I can make it with one more, so that I didn't see a point. Track position far better than fuel right now.
All right, brother. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we're going to see you on the podium here at the end of this piece.
I hope to speak to you guys soon, yeah.
Well, Matt, looks like Neil Pearson has it all figured out for Stage 3.
Always so calm, cool, and collected every time we talk to him. Regardless of what the intensity is on the racetrack, he's always just laid back and chill, and certainly has that veteran approach and mindset, even when there's in the midst of mayhem on the racetrack. And you know what, Dave, to your point, he's won stage number 1. He's won stage number 2. Can he close out stage number 3 and get the win here? I'll tell you what, he's going to have a tough challenger here in the outside lane. Little Ford on Chevrolet affair here on the front row, and that being the number 6 of Paul Hill. He's ran a great race. He's kind of silently just picking him off here as we continue to click down the laps. but Paul Hill's there, Bobby Anderson as well. And I'm telling you, don't forget about Austin Call. Don't count him out of this race as he restarts sixth.
43 laps in the books, going to be 44 laps when we go back green flag racing. That should leave us about 47 laps to the end of this piece, so just fewer than 50 as the iRacing.com pace car comes down that second to last stretch here at Watkins Glen International. And you know what? As much as I don't like road course racing, and I feel like I've expressed that many, many times, I feel like Watkins Glen is at least the most picturesque of the road courses.
Yeah, it's a great view, and I've been to this track in real life many times, and I got to hand it to iRacing. You know, they've done a great job not only with their laser scan on the racetrack, which you can count on each and every time you buy a piece of their content, by the way, but they've done a great job of capturing exactly how it looks around this place as we go back to the rowdy side of things. Green flag in the air, and Pearson pops off a huge restart. He looks like he catches the field on the snooze button as we're 3 wide behind him going into 1.
3 wide at a road course is almost like seeing a wallaby in Philadelphia. You just don't see it. Of course, I'm thinking wallaby, and I'm looking at Neil Pearson. You know, maybe it is. Maybe your baby ate the dingo. Maybe the dingo ate your baby. As we take a look here on board with Sean Rogers. Sean Rogers just behind the 18 of Bobby Anderson, and they are bouncing through this bus stop. This has to be, at least for my money, the most violent section of the racetrack.
It is violent, but once you figure out how to send it through the bus stop, I have to admit it's quite fun. And you typically try to edge it a little harder until you find that point where the race car is like, nope, I'm not holding on. After that point, I think we've seen that from a couple drivers tonight. But one driver that I've tried to keep out of my mouth, other than we were talking about Bill's Mafia, it seems every time I start to talk about Sean Rogers, I invoke the broadcaster's curse, and I have purposely tried to keep him out of my mouth tonight as we get the camera off of him, and we're going to focus on Bobby Anderson here for now. Oh, God, there's smoke around Rogers. Dave, move that camera, please.
This is bad. This is very scary as we try to get as far away from Sean Rogers as possible. Of course, as soon as I hit the auto move, it goes back to him.
Oh, yeah, it's real.
Kavaja Holt here trying to hold off the 84 of Logan Giesbrecht. This is kind of an interesting knot of race cars if you really look at it here. Where's my blimp cam? Why are all of my buttons different? There we go.
The blimp is back up. I've seen a smoke trail coming out of the blimp earlier. As a couple cars there locked up the tire.
Oh, God! Oh,
God.
Oh.
Okay, I was just talking about, Steve. Eric Popino there, the 17, the tie ride, had a really sketchy moment there as that got ugly. But once again, Dave, these drivers deploy such incredible saves that time. It almost leaves your jaw hanging wide open trying to figure out how they pulled that off as we continue to charge on here. Eric Popino, in that Liberty paint scheme, not in the Tide paint scheme. Big cluster of cars here. Chris Seabiscuit, one of my favorites. Davis there in the 74 from Beast Mode Performance. Going to get around the 71, Keith Long. That's going to move him up into the 15th place position. Davis last pitted on lap 42.
You know, I can understand how you confuse Popino in the 17 with the Tide ride. I realize that it is the Liberty University Chevrolet Camaro. However, we're all so used to seeing that 17 on the side of the Tide ride driven by the great Darrell Waltrip.
That's
doing
right.
the old Icky Shuffle back in, 1988 or 89?
89 when he won the 500.
I was a year old. Nope, I wasn't even a year old. I was a few months old.
I was a couple years old, but literally a couple.
Nope, not me. Still pooping in my pants. Which, I mean, realistically, some of
Has
us are
much
still doing
changed?
today. No. It depends.
It depends.
Speaking of... by the way, speaking of diarrhea...
Oh, God.
Speaking of diarrhea, September 19th is Talk Like a Pirate Day, and if you go to Long John Silver's, you can get some free hush puppies and some fish. And diarrhea.
giving out free Pepto-Bismol with every order placed.
Nope, they're all conveniently located right next to a Rite Aid going out of business.
Oh, pardon me, folks. Dave's just getting me back for KOing him earlier in the race.
This is what you get for, first off, knocking me out earlier and abandoning me last week and leaving me with Alan.
That's fair. That's fair.
This is called retribution. You know, some people when you want not retributions, reparations, you just get a plate of Rice Krispie treats, like Cleveland did. But you, on the other hand, you have to lose it on the air.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. And in fact, if you didn't put me through that, I would think there was something wrong. So that's perfectly fine in my book, Dave. As Neil Pearson now continues to lead here, and he's kind of taken Paul Hill with him. He is not letting him get away. In fact, he is still within a half second of the lead here as they climb the hill through this winding section of the racetrack. Then you have to go back already north of 3 seconds till you get to Bobby Anderson there in third, and then close proximity Sean Rogers. But the pace these two guys are putting up right now, Dave, last time by, you know, they are solidly in the 1 minute 11 second bracket, and then Anderson and the rest of those guys, they're flirting with the the 1 minute 12 second range. So not surprised that these two guys continue to drive away. But like Pearson said in his interview, still have to make one more stop here. You cannot go the distance, and that right there could be the make or break moment for a lot of these drivers in this race. The money stop. Can they execute when the pressure's on? Something we're going to have to keep our eye on when that time comes.
Well, and you know, speaking of times to execute, Paul Hill is keeping Neil Pearson just where he can see him. You know, and it makes me wonder if Paul Hill has something up his sleeve, and we know that he's one of those drivers, you know, that maybe holds back just a little bit. He's going to be testing, you know, the rear bumper here of Neil Pearson as we are lap number 49. We're just about 40 to go here at Watkins Glen International. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. As, you know, here at Watkins Glen, Paul Hill bounces through the bus stop, and my God, something tells me he still has a little bit left in the old Dent Slayer machine to get up and around Neil Pearson.
Oh, I guarantee both of you, these drivers right now, are playing a little mental chess match, if you will. Neil Pearson, I can guarantee you, on the other side of the coin, is not showing all of his cards either. So both these drivers probably trying to not show exactly how much performance they have when it comes down to it, as we're still, you know. And I lost my mic there for a second, folks. I apologize for that. Nope.
I can't afford another partner to die.
I kicked the cord. Oh, God. I kicked the cord there, Dave.
Well, at least you didn't cut the cord. That would have been a real
No,
problem.
I didn't cut the cord. Nope. I didn't burn it. I didn't cut it. I just kicked it. Point being, they're probably both having a little chess match of their own going on right now, not showing exactly how much pace they have quite yet as we're working lap 50 and 90. However, each and every time I watched, oh my God, Paul Hill had all 4 tires off the ground. I mean, that is sending it into the bus stop.
That's Dale Senior style right there.
I mean, to get all 4 corners off the ground, you are probably missing that guardrail by a matter of inches. And to be faster there, you really have to cut that corner short. When you launch that car up in the air like that, it really does help you set up for the next for that next turn there coming out of the carousel. But to get all 4 tires off the ground, I mean, that's almost X Games mode right there.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had some airtime there on the 6, and that really harkens back to, you know, the old days of Dale Earnhardt Sr. back in those 87 model cars, where I remember seeing, I think they were at Riverside. I think it was Riverside. And there was a camera shot of him that the car was just sailing. It almost looked like it was like the land speeder from Star Wars. It was just floating across the ground. It was incredible to watch.
Yeah, They actually use that for a lot of marketing material from time to time. And you're right, that was Riverside as Bobby, not Bobby Anderson. Paul Hill almost does it again right there. And that's one thing about this next-gen car that I can say versus the Cup car of old. You know, it really has improved. You know, it's the durability, that's the word I was looking for here on these road courses, where you can really punish this car. That multi-link rear independent suspension, the bigger carbon ceramic brakes, just all the improvements in that department really allow this car to take quite a punishment, where the car of old, you'd have to worry about busting a track bar, one of the trailing arms. This car can take a lot more punishment when you're sending it over the curbing, as we watch the orange glow out of the front rotors out of Paul Hill as he continues to stalk Pearson for the lead.
I'm telling you right now, if Paul Hill stalks Neil Pearson any closer, Neil Pearson's calling the county sheriffs for a restraining order. Do they have those up here? Do they have county sheriffs? Do they just have Barney in a Ford Fairlane? Oh, no, it wasn't a Ford Fairlane. It was a Ford Galaxy.
That's right, the Ford Galaxy. Well, I can't speak to current times, but back when I used to go, hello. Woo!
Good Lord.
I mean, they've been not just Pearson and Paul Hill, but a lot of these drivers have been just sending it like that all race long. And I mean, flirting with disaster at times, like we just see right there.
You know, here's the thing as I watch some of these guys, they're all drifting over to the side. Speaking of the Tide ride, there it is, John Wilco in the number 62. He's got the Tide pen back there in the inside the deck lid with his fuel cell. But, I watch a lot of these guys, and they're trying to keep all four wheels on the racetrack, but it seems like they have found new places to find speed here. As all of a sudden, here we go. Watch the 74 and the 17 as, wow, Chris Davis now making the pass over top of Eric Papineau.
See Biscuit going to send it in on Papineau. You see him light up that right front tire there a little bit, but no harm, no foul. As Chris Davis continues to march on the attack here, that's going to move him up just outside of the top 10, Dave. Put him in that 12th place position. Chris Davis last down on pit road on lap 42. Last time by 113.15 to Kavaja Holt. 113.38, so you can see Davis has just a little bit more pace than some of the cars he's around at this point in time.
And that's for the time being. I mean, you never know what's going to happen here. I mean, we're now less than 40 to go, which, you feel like is a long time, but these guys have managed to click them off with relative ease here as Neil Pearson is your race leader. Chris Davis here in the 74. He's only up one spot after qualifying in 13th position, but these guys make it look just that easy, as he's got that Ram Toyota Camry jammed up here into 12th.
And the Camry is jamming out here at Watkins Glen, and I know they make it look easy. And Dave, as you know, as you just went back to competition a few weeks back when we were at the high banks of Daytona, when you strap into a cockpit against these guys, it is anything but. They will humble you in an instant. And trust me, I know all about that, just how good the competition is here. Taking a look there at Chris Claude, head cook, chief, and bottle washer of the lead. You can see in the very Chris Claude-like fashion, has all the repairs completed to that race car. It did have a little bit of a wound there on the front nose earlier in the race, and he currently runs just outside the top 15 in that 16th place position.
You talk about the time when I came back to the cockpit. That was a few weeks ago, back in August. It was actually August 24th at Daytona International Speedway in the Coke 0400. And I got to tell you, I put a lot of practice in. Yes, I was absolutely humbled, during that race. However, I think one of the things that I was able to translate from the booth down to the racetrack was the discipline. And I've talked about that over the years, and I remember sitting there in the cockpit thinking to myself, just keep it between the lines. There's no reason to get crazy here. And, overall, finishing 21st like I did, or 20th, whatever it was, still felt pretty good. That's pretty much where my average finishing position was back in my last days of full-time racing. And, it was an exciting experience. It was great to be back with the guys on the racetrack, sitting in the Discord channel, and, focusing on just one thing, not 29.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, you certainly did me proud up here in the broadcast booth, watching it out there on the racetrack, mixing it up with the rest of the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Hopefully you get back out there again. I certainly enjoyed it up here in the broadcast booth, was cheering you on, and quite frankly, need to see more Dave Regal when the opportunity permits out there on the racetrack.
You're like a drug dealer, and I'm in recovery. You're like, I got them iRaces for you. Got them cockpit sessions. That sounds awful. That sounds
I'll
awful.
even get you that hot setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and here's the thing. I mean, you really, it scratched an itch, and by the end of that race, I was so exhausted because it's been a long time since I've had to use that much brain power. What does Matt have here? Talladega. Oh, see, Matt's doing it. Matt Mackin's doing it. He said Talladega, and I don't know when that. When does that come up on the schedule? Isn't that soon?
Yeah, that's probably in the next couple weeks.
You know what? No, I don't think I could make a conscious effort. Now, keep in mind, the Daytona Coke Zero Sugar 400. That was 2 weeks before the end of the regular season, but I don't think I would strap in during the playoffs.
Well, that's just the thing. I understand, hey, Talladega is its own, enemy to anyone who puts a car out there on the racetrack. We know about getting Daytona, Talladega. Anything can happen. But to your point, it's the playoffs. You don't want to have an oopsie out there on the racetrack and impact one of these drivers that have just worked and fought vigorously over the course of the season and take them out for not a one-hit wonder, but a second attempt out there on the racetrack. I completely understand and agree with what you're saying, bud.
Yeah, with my luck, it was a nice performance at Daytona, and it could be a complete dumpster fire for Talladega. But Matt Mackin here in the YouTube.com live chat, just waving it in front of my face.
Well, I was going to mention it, and I'm glad my teammate over there on the Moonshiners Racing League side of things, when I'm able to run over there, was backing me up and said what I wasn't going to say. But Matt Mackin and I are on the same page there.
You both know how I feel about my super speedways.
I know. And in fact, I'll be running the Xfinity race when they go back to Talladega, trying to back up that performance run I had before, Ron Fitting and I died going to the front of the field there. I'm still not over that yet. I'm still hurt about that incident, Dave. So I'm going to try to go out there and in Talladega and see if I can bring home a top 5 or a top 10 in this series. Not this series, but the Xfinity side of things.
Here's the thing. When guys like you or Alan Bergen or anybody that I work with here at Sim Racing Media get down on the racetrack and I have to watch you, I become completely biased. People like Chris Claude that we see here or Chris Davis from Koshkonong, a lot of these guys, as we cycle through them, I love to be around. I love to race with. I love to talk with during the race. And, my thing is I love that. And then I turn into a giant fan up here in the broadcast booth. But when somebody like you, and this is not a cut at you, but when somebody like you has a chance coming to the line to win it all, I feel like I need to hold like an aspirin or one of those nitro pills that the old guys carry, because I'm going to go down. I am going to have that heart attack that's finally going to take me home with Fred Sanford.
Or you can invoke the broadcaster's curse like you did to me at the Racers Elite when we were 3 wide and you said, "Look at Matty Too Fatty go." And then I instantly got right hooked and sent over the catch fence.
I was so heartbroken at that moment. I was so heartbroken.
I was too, but remember, I had that fast repair, and I think I rebounded and got I think I got third. That was the first time I talked to you as a driver when you were up at the booth. So we're just looking to improve on it the next time you're up here in the booth and I'm out there on a super speedway, because Lord knows that's really the only chance I have against competition like this as Sean Rogers continues to be impressive here, up 2 spots from where he started in that 7th place position. And in fact, Tanner Marty having a heck of a run here, quietly remaining there in 8th place, had a great qualifying effort. I didn't realize he started that far up on the scoring pylon, but he is even with the board right now. Austin Call now going in the wrong direction. He's still in the top 10, perhaps made an adjustment there on that 40 machine. As we go back, focusing now on this battle here with Marty. These two are basically throwing Louisville sliders at each other. Marty kind of running that second groove, if you will, not allowing the 40 to get the run that he wants, trying to throw all that dirty air at the front of that Camry. These two drag racing here. Let's see if Call tries to outbreak him here in the corner. He doesn't. He's going to back up that corner, perhaps trying to get him here coming off the final turn. Not able to. Marty puts up a great piece of that strategy vector there. Fires off the corner. We drag race down the front stretch. Another lap in the books here at Watkins Glen, Dave.
Yeah, as we cross the start-finish line, we're going to be 30 to go next time by. And right now, Tane Hodison has control of this field. He's above Larry Miles and Neil Pearson. Now, Pearson came down on lap number 56. He had plenty of time. Larry Miles on 41 and Hodison on 37. The question becomes, when do they come down? It's almost like asking questions in front of Congress. What did the president know and when did he know?
It's a great way to put it, Dave. And the only people that really know when they're coming are the drivers in those teams. And in fact, looking at how we're seeing some of these drivers already come down pit road, that could change some of the decision making as that final pit stop already being made here at Watkins Glen. However, for the moment, Tane Hodison has that dark horse Mustang out here in front, enjoying that clean air. But remember, folks, he was last down pit road on lap 37. Does not have the go fast in the tank to go the distance. Oh, as he gets all 4 tires up in the air as well. Tane Hodison having some fun here at the point.
Tane Hodison leads now by 11.14 seconds. He's got Larry Miles just behind, but Neil Pearson still holding off Paul Hill. We can see that Paul Hill, as we go on board with Pearson, is in the distant, focus here of the rearview mirror. The question becomes, when does Paul... Whoa, easy there, big fella. As we cut through the bus stop. First off, I can still, every time they go over that little brrr in the bus stop, I can still feel that in the force feedback from my wheel.
I love that feeling in the wheel. I used to hate it at first, but now it's...
Do you like it in your hands, or do you stand up against the wheel when you go over top of it?
Hey, you got to have those good vibrations, man.
Oh, yes, you do. You can. Oh dear God.
What? You want to play the song?
Oh, I know the song. I do. It's not the thought that I had, though.
I just try to keep the people. I'm just trying to keep everyone entertained. You can't do it.
Here we are at Watkins Glen with Matt Metler's good vibrations.
That's right.
Working lap number 62. And speaking of 62, let's take a look at John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania. Look at me. I finally hit the clutch to shift. As apparently you're supposed to take a break and drive awake. When?
He used the one time he used the clutch and his rear end exploded. Go figure.
Oh, buddy. It's going to be a long night.
That's what happens when you're messing with a 9-bolt rear, buddy.
Is that all it is, 9? I feel like it should be more. A lot of pressure back there.
It probably is more these days.
Should be like a 12.
We have to have a rear end expert here in the chat that could probably let us know how many bolts are back there. But at one point, it was a 9-bolt rear end.
I didn't know that we were going to invite Elton John into the broadcast booth.
Oh, no. The moment you realize... You're going to make a meme out of me for that one.
What do you got? What do you got? We have to have a rear end expert in the field. I mean, Maybe Robin Thicke. He seemed to know a lot about the blurred lines and the rear ends in that particular video.
Well, I was going to say, well, we could call it the pumpkin instead of the rear end, but we could probably have a little too much fun with that as well. As Dave slips away from the microphone. Pennsylvania native there, John Wilco, having a great run here. That 62 machine in that 12th place position. Dave, he could be the biggest mover of the race, up 13 positions, and he is.
Yeah, man, 13 positions up from a boy out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you what, had himself a podium finish, here recently. It's a great night when I get to see John Wilco. First of all, represents the 570 area code just between Jim Thorpe and Hazleton. I realize that that's a big swath here in PA.
We almost wrecked Wilco, buddy, not to cut you off.
God. All I wanted to do was give him a compliment. And, his fire chief and the fire chief in McAdoo, he and I have a long history. In fact, we even got to the fire chief from McAdoo, the town where John Wilco is from. He and I got to ride along with 18-time Grammy-winning polka band artist Jimmy Sturr a few months ago when I was on assignment with Magic 105.5 WMGH. They had an incident we were covering, a polka party. It was a whole thing, and basically the polka band's bus broke down. So the fire chief from McAdoo and I take off to Scranton to go rescue the polka band, which, according to the Pennsylvania Polka song, it did start in Scranton, and it is now #1.
Dave, they got the right man for the job. When you pair the Magic Man with the Polka King, all those Grammys, that must have been a day, a night, and evening to remember.
He rode shotgun with me for the whole ride back to the concert venue. And
what was that conversation like? Not to cut you off there.
Well, first off, I didn't want to talk to him about his hairpiece.
Fair enough.
It was definitely visible.
Okay.
The top of his hair was kind of like fox red, and the rest of it was gray. You could tell. But he talked about what my favorite polka music was, and how does somebody as young as I, happen to know about polka music, and I had to explain the Reading Fightin' Phils and my favorite polka song, which I do have one. I feel like everybody should have a favorite polka. I have two. And, we talked about that. We talked about instrumental music and vocal music. And I even told him about this little gig that we have here online, which he gave me that look that we've all gotten. That one? That look of, I'm sorry, you do what now?
The look I'm getting right now, yes.
Yep, that's the one. Are you getting the look just because you're doing this, or because you prompted me to talk about a favorite Aaron Mac drinks?
It could be both.
Or is it because you prompted me to talk about polka music? Aaron Mac saying, Dave and Mac, glad to hear your voices in the booth. The best excitement I've had today so far. Aaron Mac, were you recently in a medically induced coma? Did they just bring you out today?
Hey, you got to shout out Aaron.
This is the most excitement that he's had all day. Where is Aaron Mac? He's not even out here on the racetrack.
He's not out there. He's on the racetrack, just not in this race right now.
Well, tell him to go to the bar. I need a refill.
Return of the Mac. But no, Mac's a good dude. One heck of an iRacing sim race. One heck of a driver here on the sim racing servers as well. Neil Pearson continues to run in third. Remember, he was your leader. In fact, he won stages 1 and 2. Now he has to triumph over Larry Miles, Kane Hodgson. However, these two drivers still need to come down pit road. Now, Larry Mills, last down pit road on 41. Does he try to go Las Vegas mode here and gamble? It would be a big one. But if he can get some more yellow flags, perhaps it is possible. Tane Hodgson, last down on lap 37. He will certainly have to stop for fuel. The first driver on fresh Dr. Feelgoods who can go the distance. In the words of Michael Bolton, that is Neil Pearson, who currently runs third.
Little update here from my man Aaron Mack, driver of the 01 machine usually, as he says he's just sitting in California for Army training. So, of course, here it comes, that cliche that we've all done. Thank you for your service, Aaron, but I genuinely mean it. And, Aaron Mack is one of those drivers that I've been on the racetrack with for, a few years, and, of course, watched up here from the broadcast booth. He is one of the most fun people to watch on the racetrack, and I know, just as you and I have talked about so many times, that I have jinxed him repeatedly.
Yeah, there's certain drivers, for whatever reason, Dave, we have a stronger force with when it comes to, well, as you put it, the jinxing department than others. I don't know why that is, but why does it always seem like the ones that we tend to favor? I know up here in the booth we're not supposed to be biased, but, outside of that, we all have our favorites out there on the racetrack. We may not talk about it or bring attention to it, but by God, why does it always seem the drivers that we internally root for, we tend to jinx out there?
I've never identified as biased, but I guess I do now when I think about it in that particular form. Nothing? You leave me with nothing, or did you just mute your microphone?
I muted the mic.
Look, I thought I would just call a spade a spade. Larry Miles, so this is interesting. Larry Miles, Austin Call, and Matty Long are the only 3 drivers in the top 10 that are not playoff drivers. Everybody else up there getting it done. Tane Hodison took over the race lead and hasn't turned around since. He last came down on lap number 37. We're currently on lap 69. So we've nearly gone double the amount of time since it's been. As now Larry Miles going to peel on down pit road. He was last down on 41. So I have to imagine it's only a few more laps until Tane Hodison has to pull the escape chute.
Well, yeah, in fact, Hodison was on pit road before Larry Miles, so you would think that he is perhaps running on fumes inside the fuel cell of that 93 machine. However, nonetheless, that Ford has been impressive since he was put in clean air and inherited that lead. He has not given it up or looked back. Very good pace inside that 93 machine. However, he has to come down pit road under green flag conditions, more than likely. That, unfortunately, will cost him the lead. But, to what I just said a moment ago, Dave, very impressive out here during his tenure at the front of this field here at Watkins Glen. And now Dave is going to go silent. Oh, there he is.
No, I'm sorry. I couldn't find the darn button. It's a whole thing. I used my iPad, and I was whacking the button, and it didn't want to go.
Whacking? Oh, God.
Yeah, I was smacking at it. I couldn't make it click. What happened? What happened? Look, things happen.
Yes, yes, they do.
I was smacking at my button on the iPad, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't make the button actuate. So then I reach over to the Stream Deck, hit that button. It wouldn't work. Here, it just turned out that my computer needed a second to think about what I was trying to do.
I got you. I thought
the computer's been listening to me all night and decided it's about time to calmly walk away from the microphone, sir.
That darn AI creeping up in Windows 11. You never know. That could have been the case, too. I thought you were simply returning the favor when you threw me the hand grenade and I muted for a moment.
Well, here we are on lap number 70, and I got to tell you right now, man, things looking pretty good for Tane Hodison. He's driven out 17.4 seconds over top of Neil Pearson. Now, Pearson came down on 56. I think most of these drivers can make it to the end, as we are now 20 laps to go.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind, Pearson, Paul Hill, everyone else virtually out there in the field right now. However, Keith Long in that 9th place position, he was last down on pit road, lap 41. I don't think he's going to have enough go fast in that fuel cell to make it the rest of the distance. He should have to come down pit road. So after Tane Hodison pulls it down pit lane and receives his final service of the race, that's going to turn the lead back over to, nonetheless, the modern-day Silver Fox Neil Pearson, who's currently about 17 seconds off the pace. And Dave, Paul Hill, Sean Rogers, well, maybe not so much Rogers, unfortunately, but Paul Hill is keeping him honest. So we could have a thrilling finish here as we close in on the end of this thing once Hodison makes that final pit stop.
20 laps to go here. Tane Hodison waiting to make the final pit stop. It goes Hodison, Pearson, Hill, Rogers, Marty, Call, Long, Miles, Long, and Holt. Those are your top 10. We're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal. He's Matt Metler, and this is Sunday Night NASCAR.
So, hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Glen tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
So, hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So, my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
welcome back to Watkins Glen International. Of course, we're waiting for that picture to come back up from our satellite truck here at Watkins Glen. Click. What is going? Waiting for it. We're waiting. Oh, this is good. We've got no picture. There it is. And, of course, it comes directly back on a picture of trees. Fabulous. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You can see that there in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. That is our late, great friend, Tony Trapasso, as he passed away a year ago last week. And our lives have never been the same since the passing of Tony. And I don't want to have to work too blue, but he is alive and well in the broadcast booth tonight as Neil Pearson, the modern-day Silver Fox, chases down, the next car on the list. It's going to be Michael Witt in the 88. He's going to be the next one that's going to fall here and go a lap down. Neil Pearson, Paul Hill, Tane Hodison, Sean Rogers, Tanner Marty, Austin Call, Matt Long, Larry Miles, Kavaja Holt, and Chris Davis. That's your top 10. Matt, we have been watching a barn burner tonight here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, we certainly have. Want to appreciate everyone coming along for the ride. Feel the good vibrations here at Watkins Glen. And, you mentioned Michael Witt here, who is about to go a lap down here. That means, if we want to talk about the pace that Neil Pearson has been putting up, only 10 drivers remain on the lead lap. And, Dave, when you think about that and how good the competition is here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, that is one heck of a statement being put down on the racetrack by Neil Pearson in that 58.
Yeah, Neil Pearson has been running a clinic tonight. He said that he's more of an oval driver than a road course driver, but I can't tell. Quite frankly, I think our neighbor from down under has maybe snowballed us just a little bit. And maybe snowballing is appropriate being up here in New York. But as he crosses the start-finish line, we're getting down to the single digits here, 9 laps to go, which means it's just about 9 more minutes until we hit that checkered flag.
Yeah, and that's remarkable, and that's the pace that Neil Pearson has been setting. And to further that conversation, he may not have ran the fastest lap of the race, which I believe was set by Paul Hill at a 1 minute 10.62 second lap time. But if you look at Neil Pearson's best lap time, which is basically a tick over the 1 minute 11 second mark, last time by, the numbers are still the same, 1 minute 11 seconds, 0.44. And that consistency around this racetrack has propelled him to where he is right now in putting virtually everyone outside of the top 10 a lap down. And Paul Hill is the only driver that's within the same county or zip code, and he's hanging on to that 7-second threshold. Everyone else, they're in another state. They can be down you as far as I'm concerned in Philadelphia, Davis. Hodison in third is 22.05 seconds off the pace. That's the type of clinic Pearson's putting on. Son, it's okay. Look, Sean Rogers cannot win every race. He's throwing his tablet at me as he's looking at the updated standings.
Well, taking a look over here at the YouTube.com live chat, Amanda Price, as always, cheering on Sean Rogers out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. There's a woman who stands behind her man. I always say that behind every great iRacer, or in our case, every great broadcaster, and quite frankly, we're the greatest there is here on iRacing.com. But, at least here in the eNASCAR world. But behind every great man on the racetrack or in the broadcast booth is a woman standing there shaking her head in disbelief. And tonight, it's Amanda Price right behind Sean Rogers in the 44. Daniel Moynihan, he checks in. Of course, driver the number 53, Duncan Dark. Let's see. I think that... What happened? What happened? It wasn't me. The Rabbi Ben Garrity, he's already checking in. Dan Moynihan, oh my. Sean Rogers can win every race. You know what? Amanda Price might be a better analyst than we are.
He can win every race. I don't know if it bled over, but my son was over here having a nuclear meltdown when he looked at SDK and seen that Sean Rogers wasn't winning. In fact, he was so upset he threw his tablet at me, which I had to duck while I was saying that. So that's all I was just trying to explain to a 5-year-old that you can't win every race. But yes, to Amanda's point, is he capable? Absolutely.
Well, here they are. Neil Pearson, Paul Hill, Tane Hodison, Sean Rogers, and Tanner Marty. And, I mean, quite frankly, if we go over here to Sean Rogers, he's got a lot of ground to make up. I mean, right now he's trailing Neil Pearson by 23 seconds. I mean, something catastrophic would have to happen to 3 different cars for Sean Rogers to win this race.
Hey, but you know what? Let's face it, though. I mean, he has been one of the most consistent, dominant drivers throughout the course of this season. And again, here on the road course, inside the top 5 in that 4th place position. And, he is, the head contender, in my opinion, the lead contender to win this championship. I mean, he has just done a remarkable and masterful job over the course of this season. And he has put himself there. And someone's going to have to come up really big here in the playoffs to dethrone Rogers. And, not to mention, he certainly puts the time in on the racetrack. Now that I'm fortunate enough to be inside Beast Mode Performance Discord, I see the amount of time that he puts in to iRacing, and it's just incredible, how much practice he puts into this, but it certainly shows up on the racetrack as Rogers putting up one heck of a performance once again here in that 4th place position, Dave.
Yeah, 4th place for the 44 as we work here with 6 laps to go. Tanner Marty and Matt Long just behind him. Matt Long was having a great night earlier until, of course, all it takes on wow, look at that hop. The 40 just had more time in the air than a skateboard at the X Games.
It looked like Air Jordan out there, but not obviously in the race car. That was a ton of air once again. But, look at the big-time power slide there out of Austin Cole. He is giving all the biscuits to that Aflac-powered Toyota here in the closing laps, as these guys are putting on a barn burner here for that 5th place position. 6th place position, excuse me.
I was about to say 6th place position. You took the words right out of my mouth. As Neil Pearson leads the way now. He's got a 10.4 second lead over Paul Hill. As we work now with 5 laps to go, Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. And folks, if you're only just tuning in now, you already missed the climax of this race. And when I say climax, I really mean it. Waiting for Matt to pick his jaw up off the floor as I'm waiting for an email from our chief cook and bottle washer at Sim Racing Media to send me your fired papers.
Well, we've had a lot of highs and lows throughout the course of this one. That's for sure. But no one rides the top of the mountain like Neil Pearson.
Did you just say rides the top of the mountain?
Oh, yeah, climax, highs, lows, valleys,
Yeah, yep, I got it. I was thinking more apex, but here we are.
Oh, God.
Amanda Price has now taken the warning shot. He puts in too much time. LOL. That may be an LOL kind of statement, but some of us know that LOL is very serious.
The LOLs can talk.
I mean, I get it. Amanda, if you're paying attention to us tonight, is that LOL at least a little damp with sarcasm there, or is it absolutely dripping with sarcasm? Neil Pearson, Paul Hill, and Tane Hodison. Go ahead, Matt. Try to come back from that one. As right now, Tanner Marty running in 5th position. He's got a long way before he can even reach Sean Rogers. I think this top 3, you can throw a blanket right over top of him.
Trying to recover here in the number 2 seat as we watch Tanner Marty, who's somehow, I shouldn't say somehow, I'm just having a hard time putting words together at the moment, into that 5th place position, up 3 spots from where he started, having a great run here inside the top 5.
Speaking of putting words together, I do want to wish you a happy anniversary, Matt. It was a year ago this week that you and I debuted after the passing of the great Tony Trapasso as the voices of Sunday Night NASCAR. And I think the 1-year anniversary is the Wood anniversary. So do I just have to give you wood on our first anniversary?
That's a 2x4.
Oh, I was thinking something run on a lathe.
We could do that too. We could run the 2x4 on the lathe. What? It's Austin Cole who runs in that 7th place position. Still putting up a big time fight here on the racetrack. This is where the highest octane competition is right now, as we are just 3 laps remaining in this one. You can see there Larry Miles in that 57 working, that is a 17 machine being piloted by Eric Popino. That is not for position, so my fault there, folks. But nonetheless, Austin Call has probably been one of the more entertaining drivers out there throughout the course of this race, as he's usually been in a battle or the battle not raging very far away from that TRD-powered Camry out there on the racetrack as he runs in 7th. That battle he had going on with Matty Long there for a handful of laps is now dissipated a little bit, is now that 97 of Log is about a little over a second ahead of the call, Dave.
Yeah, here we are. Popsicle sticks are in the air. 2 laps to go for Neil Pearson, who has just about a lap and a half left. We're running deathly close to the end of time here at Watkins Glen as we come down that little midsection stretch here, getting ready to gear down all the way into first gear. And, we really haven't talked about, the way that these guys are having to use those sequential shifters tonight.
We haven't, and in fact, it's not the H pattern, which virtually all the other cars in competition, or at least underneath the NASCAR umbrella, do. It's a sequential gearbox here, 5 gears. Remember, that was part of the big changes here with the next evolution of Dave, the Cup car. I won't call it the next gen, I'll call it the Cup car, along with that sequential transmission being mounted at the rear of this vehicle, trying to help get that perfect 50-50 weight balance distribution. But it's literally, you just give it an old tap tap, in the words of Happy Gilmore, taparoo. I mean, that's all you're doing, just like the pedals here on my steering wheel that I race here at home with. You don't have that 8-ball, that H-pattern shifter. That's the thing of the old with these cars.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, those sequential shifters are worth every dime. As, of course, we just saw it a moment ago, Neil Pearson cross the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag's in the air. We're racing back to checkers. And Neil Pearson now just about two-tenth of a lap away from the start-finish line. Neil Pearson has been dominant. He won Stage 1, Stage 2, and he's about to wrap it up here, capturing the checkered flag at the end of Stage number 3. We cross under the Go Bowling banner. And as Neil Pearson crosses the start-finish line, he captures the checkered flag here at Watkins Glen. He'll be followed across the line now by Paul Hill, and shortly after that by Tane Hodison, as it looks like you can throw a blanket over this top 3.
In fact, Neil Pearson didn't go bowling. He went boxing as he knocked out literally the entire competition here at Watkins Glen with one of the most... pardon me, folks. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. While you were doing that, I was trying to pull drivers down here into the YouTube or into our chat room here. So let's see.
But as I was saying, Dave, I mean, he just absolutely crushed the competition here tonight. That was one heck of a drive by the modern-day Silver Fox. You see Paul Hill going up there, throwing him some shade. Paul Hill had a great run here tonight. He comes home in second. We're going to hear from him as well. And how about Tane Hodison coming home in third? But ultimately, Neil Pearson gets the well-deserved victory here tonight on Sim Racing Media. Neil, Dave, and Matt up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got a copy there. Going to try it one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Going to try this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Pearson now joining me up in the booth. Neil, Dave, and Matt up top. You got a copy, bud?
Got a copy, guys.
Neil, that was probably one of the best road course performances I have seen in a while. I mean, not only do you come out of here, you win stage 1, you back it up in stage 2, and then you just decided you were going to decimate everyone and everything out there tonight in competition, and you bring home the victory. How are you able to put together such a strong and epic performance, and quite frankly, claiming not to be really a road course guy?
I just tried to keep myself from making mistakes, you know. I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to these road courses. So, like, I just tried not to push hard, you know. In that first stint, I was pushing up really hard, and then the second stint, and I just decided, you know, I want to hit my marks. Just do what I need to do to get through the race, and it worked out, you know. Like, I was just consistent, and yeah, I wasn't pushing as hard as I could, and just kept the car underneath me.
You know, Neil, you stole the words right out of my mouth. When you're talking about consistency, you know, if I look at your best lap versus the last lap of your runs here tonight, less than a half a second, how were you able to manage those tires so well where you have just a little bit of fall off? I mean, that right there was a big part of the catalyst, how you were able to put together such a dominating performance. How were you taking care of those tires so well out there?
Well, it really struggled to turn through the inner loop and the outer loop. So I just basically had to go really slow through there. Paul was so fast through there, and I just had nothing. So I just backed it down and just hit my marks and was trying to keep the temp down, because I think the temperature is the killer. So, you know, I think it would have been interesting if he didn't have his computer issues coming to the end, because he was heaps quicker through there, and it would have been interesting to see if he would have given me the old bump and run, you know?
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you guys are friends, but when you and Paul mix it up on the racetrack, it has produced some thrilling performances and finishes right here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. You know, and that's one of the things that we really can't sometimes one of the phantoms we have to face here in the sim racing realm is computer problems. But I agree, if you and Paul were able, you know, to have one of those great battles that we've seen here over the course of your time in this series, I definitely think it would have been a battle for the ages and possibly rivaled the end result of today's real life race. But nonetheless, I mean, you were absolutely flawless out there on the racetrack tonight. Congratulations on having such a dominant win. Before I cut you loose, though, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that Chevrolet?
Yeah, just a big thanks to teammates, Matt and Bobby. It was good fun racing with them. Paul for the really close racing. You know, he did get past me in that final stage, sorry, but you know, undercut him in the pits. Just my Australian teammates for always being there for me. You guys for the broadcast, SNN. Stacy Strong for the awesome series, and I can't wait for Bristol next week.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. He won everything, literally, there is to win here on the race side of things at Watkins Glen. Neil Pearson dominates here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series, utilizing to get it done here at the Glen. Going to send it back up topside to you, Dave.
Thank you, Matt and Neil. We appreciate the time, of course, from the modern-day Silver Fox, Neil Pearson. Let's check in now with our second-place finisher, driver of the number 6, Paul Hill. Hey, Paul, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do. How are you?
I'm good, man. Listen, Jacksonville celebrates with you tonight as you bring home the P2 finish. I mean, take us through this race. I mean, you obviously were able to stretch that fuel and those tires all the way from lap 58 to the end. Was grip that much of a factor once the track temperature dropped down?
I mean, it was there. Definitely wouldn't want to do more than a fuel stint on a set of tires. But it wasn't so bad you couldn't control the car, but it was definitely a factor, something you had to keep in the back of your head.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I saw tonight were just little mental mistakes that I saw from other drivers on the racetrack. I mean, some of them had the rear end of the car stepping out on them. Did you feel like the rear end was trying to wiggle away on you?
Yeah, it was mostly under braking. I was struggling. I got some wheel damage. I have to go back and watch it, but me and Chris Davis on that restart got tangled up. I don't even really know what happened. One moment I was straight, the next moment I was looking at the field, so I don't really know what happened there. But I got some wheel damage from that, and from there on, my car was just wicked tight, and I would get this weird pull to the left under braking, and it was just brutal from like lap 30 on for me. So, I mean, sure, the cars were loose, but for me, it was mostly under braking. I was having a struggle with it. Tires didn't have the capacity anymore to handle hard braking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the cars loading up with all of that kind of, you know, energy on the racetrack, it's a lot to try to woe back in and get yourself through these turns. But you did it very successfully tonight. I mean, you qualified on the pole, you finished P2. All in all, not a bad performance here, as that should definitely be helping your playoff stock as we move a little bit deeper. And, of course, next week, Elimination Week at Bristol, baby. So before we cut you loose tonight, who do you need to thank and who helps you get it done on the 6 team?
Yeah, I want to thank the guys over at 4 Wide, of course, Dent Slayer, and then I want to thank Neil as well. It was a lot of fun. Me and him were neck and neck for, I'd say, 80% of that race until I had a little bit of a computer lockup and a mistake that ultimately took me out of it. But he ran a fantastic, flawless race and definitely deserved that win. So I want to shout him out, and, of course, all the guys over at 4 Wide.
All right, buddy. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at Bristol.
Thank you, guys.
And Matt, last but not least, I think you have the driver of the 93, Tane Hodison, with you.
Tane Hodison, Matt and Dave up in the Tony Trapasso Memorial booth. You got a copy there, bud?
Yes, I do.
Tane, first of all, congratulations on a podium finish. Walk me through your race tonight. We've seen a little bit of carnage and chaos out there on some of these restarts. How are you able to keep yourself out of the eye of that storm and just put together a great performance here tonight, which ultimately got you in that dark horse, a 3rd place position?
Well, I did a lot of practice before this. Like every day I did like at least half an hour. So I knew the track pretty well. I've done a lot of endurance races here. I finished 2nd in the 6-hour race at the boot layout. So I definitely know the track.
Sorry, go ahead. My fault.
The first stage was just pretty chill. I believe that's the one where we had 1 caution, but it was pretty chill. I had like 3.5 to 4 seconds on either side of me, and I was running in 4th, and I got 4th in that stage, so easy there. Had an incident in the bus stop after the stage 2 restart, I believe, and it gave me damage, but it also turned my wheel off. I think it was an emergency stop thing for the direct drive. So I had to restart it. And that put me back. And then from there, it was just all about strategy and trying to be faster than Sean Rogers, which is not an easy task.
Oh, it's certainly not. But that's also impressive that you had a direct drive failure during the course of the race. Obviously, that cost you a lot of track position. Then being able to claw your way back up the scoring pylon to come home 3rd. I mean, that says a lot about, your composure, your mindset, and your determination to get a strong finish here at Watkins Glen. You mentioned the endurance racing. How does that help you? How does that translate here on the Cup side of things? Just having an understanding of what the car is going to do over the course of the run, or just how to take care of the tires. What can you take from that endurance racing and use it to help you here on the Cup side of things?
I think for me, since pretty much 6 days out of 7, I'm doing road races more than oval. Like I can understand the tracks. I understand the style of driving. The car for Cup is so much different than most road cars I would drive around here. So that's why I need the week to practice and learn how the car drives around here, but I don't have to learn the track, which is key. And having all those laps around here in many different cars, it prepares you. But yeah, you do need the time in the car, obviously, because it does drive so much differently than anything else you could drive around here.
Absolutely well said, and I do appreciate that breakdown and analysis. But before we cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that Dark Horse 93?
My teammates, Noah, Logan, and Diego. My parents are upstairs. I don't know if they're still watching the race, but them, because they let me do this every Sunday night. And yeah, that's Chris runs a good league too, so I'll say him.
Can't say enough about Chris Cludd and all the hard work that he puts in. But speaking of putting in the hard work and has the endurance, puts the seat time in on the sim, and it translated here to a phenomenal finish. Tane Hodison comes home third. Dave, sending it back up top to you.